It's the Nighttime Show. Tonight, we have our head writer, Matt Walker, the voice of the Nighttime Show, myself, Mike Black, our very special guest, writer of The Late Show with David Letterman, Seinfeld, and currently on Car Matchmaker, Mr. Spike Feresten. And now, the man whose balls are the tiniest in 4 galaxies, Stephen Kramer Glickman!
Yeah! Well done, Mike Black. Well done. How are you, buddy? You good?
I'm fine.
You look good.
Yeah.
You look great.
I'm getting almost the amount of nutrients I need.
Yeah. Ooh, very sexy.
There you go.
Yeah, things have been good, man. We went to go see Neon Demon last night. Very terrifying.
Is that a metal band?
No, but it should be. It probably should be. Yeah, it was.
Because we could book them on the live show.
Yeah, we could.
It was a lot of really pretty people not fucking.
Yeah.
But coming close to it.
You're like,
and doing much weirder shit instead.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves was in it. I was happy. Every time he came on screen, everyone went, Keanu! Like, the whole room was very happy to see him. It was really really great.
Hey, Keanu Reeves is in my show this season.
He is really?
Speaking of that.
All right, well let's announce.
I don't want to interrupt your flow.
No, we got to talk about you.
I gotta bring that up.
That's awesome.
It is an absolutely incredible thing that we have you here today, and you're like I'm a big fan of your work. We've all been a big fan of your work for a lot of different reasons. Late Show with David Letterman. A lot of us grew up watching that show, and of course, Late Show with David Letterman. I know that you worked a little bit on Seinfeld.
3 seasons.
I'm a massive fan of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and I know that you worked on that a little bit. And that was
I worked on it because I was a fan of it.
Oh God, so cool!
Yeah.
And then of course Seinfeld. Absolutely incredible. We're all huge fans. But you know what? I love Talk Show with Spike Feresten. I loved that show when it was on. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And
it's the Star Trek of late night shows. Just a few seasons, but people remember it.
You crushed it, and then you bounced and you left a record, and then
no, I got canceled. Let's not beat about the bush. They canceled my ass, but
it's
we did well.
Record-setting, longest-running late night talk show in the
right.
history of Fox.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And Car Matchmaker, which is a great show which you host.
Season
on
3.
on
Here
Esquire.
we go.
Amazing.
Right now.
Are you in production on that right now?
No, we're airing the 3rd season right now. We're right in the middle of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, we're going to get to all of this, but let's start at the beginning. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Massachusetts. Born in Fall River.
Now, that's Lizzie Borden's hometown.
You know what? Yes, my dad used to play in Lizzie Borden's backyard.
Oh, really?
No
yeah,
way.
he used to talk about that.
When I was a kid, I remember watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents, a rerun, and he did like an opening poem where he did the Lizzie Borden took an axe. That poem.
Right, yep.
And then we were going to Boston on vacation that summer, and we were driving, whatever. It was like, hey, can we go to the town where Lizzie Borden killed her parents, Fall River? And we went.
God. How old were you?
11,
Oh,
maybe 12,
God, it
right?
explains so much
So we
about
went,
him.
and then
Terrifying.
we stopped by the Fall River Historical Society, and they had just closed. We missed them by like 5 minutes. And there was like an 80-year-old woman that worked there. We banged on the door, and we're like, we're from California. We're never going to get a chance to come back here. Can we just come in and take a look around for a couple minutes? So she let us in, and we took a look around, and we got to see like a bloody sheet with her parents' blood on it. It was pretty cool.
Oh, man.
In fairness, most people in Fall River kill their parents. So to us, it's not such a big deal. That's kind of the vibe you're growing up.
The other famous person I can think of from Fall River is Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf from the
That's
Howard Stern
right.
Show from Fall River.
That's right.
Wow.
I didn't know that till I did the wrap-up show and Bubba
John,
Booey
yeah.
told me that. That's
he was from
exactly
Fall River,
right.
yeah.
So I'm an esteemed company.
You really are.
Having been born there.
Absolutely.
Like, you have
Yes.
to be the favorite son coming out of there now.
I don't know. Hank the Angry Dwarf. That's pretty good.
The greatest
I would
whack
vote for
factor
him.
of all time.
He
Yeah,
really was.
of course.
He really
there you go.
His statue is going up pretty soon.
It's not a very big one, but a
No.
statue nonetheless.
It's a
Yeah.
small statue.
Yeah.
What was there people in your family that were in the entertainment industry? Or
No,
how-
my dad thought he was. My dad was a salesman, and my mom was a nurse. They're, blue collar folks. But I didn't know anybody in show business.
What did he sell?
Like novelty advertising. Before there was a cafe press, he was the guy who would go to an area business and go, "Here, your gas station with your calendar on it." You know,
wow.
I know people in that business today. Like, I don't know how they still do it, but I know people.
He wasn't really doing it back then, but
Yeah.
that's what he did. But he was a huge fan of comedy. So, he'd wake us up and go, "You got to watch your show, Saturday Night Live. You got to check out, this George Carlin album." And I'm talking, we were like pretty little kids, like 10 years old. Steve Martin, Chaplin, just, all the greats, and then all the British stuff. Pretty frustrated comedy guy.
Wow.
He blamed us, actually, that he didn't go into comedy. He said, if I didn't have kids, I would be as famous as Jerry Lewis.
My mom is a very funny lady and real dirty and says real dirty shit to people. And
She does.
Oh, God,
She said,
absolutely.
I mean, the whole thing when she said to you after she dated a black man,
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorite things.
She dated a black guy, and then right after she dated a black guy, she goes, Steven, you know what they say about the black guys? I go, Mom, I don't need to know. And she goes, no, don't. You get your mind out of the gutter. Their penises are enormous. That was her timing. And we were just sitting in the kitchen. I was like, it's unbelievable. She's always been like that.
Yeah.
And whenever we have like a family dinner, someone reminds her, like tells her, you have to tell the story about the horse and the cowboy or whatever, and then she's got this amazing story that and that's kind of how I got into it.
Why was your mom dating? I don't understand.
My dad's been gone since I was young.
Oh, okay.
And so my mom
dead or just left?
Left.
Just left.
He just took off.
Left.
He was like took 2 looks at me and he was like, I can't with this kid. She's always been like when she dates, when we were just in San Diego, and I said there was a guy who lived, and this is too long a story, but there was a guy who lived down the street, and he was a hoarder, and she almost went out on a date with him, and then last minute decided not to go out with him, and then 2 weeks later he died, and they found him living in his house surrounded by newspapers and
Did
soda
she know
cans.
he was a hoarder?
That's why she said no. That's why she decided to
I
say
think
no.
that's a good red flag
fair.
to have.
Yeah, and
that's
so-
a reasonable red flag.
I said to her, "Thank God you didn't have sex with him." She goes, "To have sex with him? What are you talking about? We never even went out." I go, "Mom, I know you. You went out with him once."
Well, you know what they say
You know.
about hoarders.
Yeah.
No, Mom, you have cavernous assholes.
Right.
What do you mean?
Well, she had the story about the guy at McDonald's.
Oh yeah,
That was like the cleaning guy at McDonald's when she used to work there planning kids' parties and then hooked up with him at the McDonald's.
She hooked up with
This
him
is
in
your
McDonald's.
mom?
My mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids in the family?
Just me and my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's
But
protected.
Same dads?
That she knows.
Yeah. Same dads. Same dads. Yes.
And this guy's still gone?
But still
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
But
I can't comprehend this.
she would pull this move she would take me to this comedy club in Oceanside and sneak me in the back door so I could sit there and watch stand-up comics when I was a kid.
Oh, wow. There you
that
go.
was like how I got into stand-up.
Where's the dad, though? He's never reached out. He's not listening right now.
No, he
Secretly
might be.
going,
if you're
maybe
listening,
I should
you
get
know what
back
you
in
did
touch.
wrong. You know what you did wrong, Dad.
Come get some of this podcast money.
It's going to be a Lindsay Lohan situation in a couple of years.
He's going to
They'll be
surface
like, I
any
searched
minute.
70,000 gas stations. None of them had cigarettes. Couldn't find any anywhere.
Fun new cigarettes.
That's
What about
awful.
aunts and uncles? Did you have other funny people in your life?
No, I didn't. I can look back and connect the dots right now to all this, but
How
back
did it-
then it was just, Massachusetts is a pretty funny place,
Yeah.
and I grew up in a town, West Bridgewater, after we left Fall River. That had they had a prison there, Bridgewater Correctional Institute. That's
Right.
pretty much the big thing that was going on in town. So, all my friends were kind of Irish ball busting, guys, and that just seemed like, well, we're all funny. We all like funny stuff. And,
Yeah.
let's go see Blazing Saddles. That looks funny. And, I just thought the world was like that. It wasn't until, now that I look back that I go, wow, well, I guess, my dad parking me in front of all this comedy and, then watching TV. And now it makes sense that I'm in the TV trying to get his attention.
Sure, yeah,
right?
of course,
Doing
of
comedy.
course.
Now it
Right.
kind of all makes sense. But
Did you do like live theater? Did you work on things when you write plays?
This
or write,
is a very Massachusetts
stuff?
story. All right.
Tell me
So,
how it
ninth
goes.
grade. I'm pretty. Look at me. I'm not a big guy, right? So I'm getting bullied pretty much up to the ninth grade, right? I'm
Gotcha.
terrified daily about everything and football players. And the rest
I
of
know
it.
the feeling.
Right. But I'm in a small school, and I very quickly pick up a guitar and start taking guitar lessons and start playing in a band. And now girls like me, and now the football players like me. And now I'm gonna. Why don't I try out to perform in the school play, which
Ooh.
I get the lead in the play.
What was
Now,
the play?
More girls, and I don't even remember. It's something that the teachers wrote.
Right, right.
It was not enemy of the people or nice
Right,
Roderick
right,
Ibsen
right.
drama. It was
Sure.
your emotions and a leotard and signs and
Oh my God.
it was awful. Emotional stress was the name of one of the plays.
God, really?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
Holy crap!
Razzle dazzle 'em. Do you know this? You don't know
Oh
this.
no, I'm a big musical theater. I went to school for theater.
Is that a
That's-
real play?
That's a real. I don't know if that's a real.
No, it
but
can't be.
It sounds like a thing.
But I was singing, dancing, and being funny, and I had a classic rock band, but I also had a funny band called the Lunatic Fringe. And I was pretty much the sole entertainment for this high school. And it kept me safe. It really kept me safe.
Wow.
And when I left the school and went to Boston, I just thought, well, why don't I take this cool part playing rock and roll, and I'll go to Berklee College of Music, and now I'll just be a rock star. And like the first day I was there, it's like, fuck, I have wildly overestimated my talent. This is going to be awful. It's just all guys, and they're all like me from small towns, and I just got psyched out. So I hid there for about 3 years before I came across David Letterman on TV, and just literally just went, this is the only place I can work. I've got to get out of this school system, this music school, and I've got to go work for the show. It's where I'm supposed to be, and I didn't know much more than that.
Damn, son, you just hit with the wow effect.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Stephen Kramer Glickman, and I want to talk to you about something awesome. There's a lot of people here in Los Angeles that are smoking these vapes, all right? But people are loving the vapes. People are vaping. They're vaping and they're enjoying the vapes. But you know what? Guess what? You're doing it wrong, all right? Here's why. Because there is a better company, a better way of doing it, a better way to handle your business. It's a company called blackoutx.com. 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 V 2.0 wax and oil disposables. What is that? What is that, you ask? Well, normally it's about $45, about $50. Not anymore. $29.95. These guys are killing the game. All right, Blackout X devices. Okay, we're introducing the first and only refillable disposable. It's refillable and disposable vape pen on the market. It can handle e-liquid, oil, soft wax. Be the first to use one of these amazing vape products on the market today. Version 2 includes a better wick system for wax and better airflow and intake. People love this stuff, okay? I'm not playing around, guys. This is the real stuff. People are really, really enjoying it. And don't be left out in the flapping in the wind.
Psych.
Because
that's the wrong number.
Oh, I don't know what that was. But don't be left out flapping in the wind, okay? With all your vape friends. Everybody's like, "Oh, I have a cool disposable one that I have to throw in the garbage." Well, you're doing it wrong.
Smoke weed every day.
Basically, this is the way to make I can't even play that clip without laughing. It's really great. Guys, it's really phenomenal stuff. It's great for e-liquid or oil, soft wax. It's got a nice lip shape design. It has a refillable clear tank. It's easy to use. It's easy to fill. No odor. I mean, people are gonna go nuts over this. And it also has the silicone ring on the outside of it to avoid leakage. So you're not going to get anything better than this. This is the best. It's the best that ever was, and it's the best that ever will be. And guess what? We're going to do a little cool thing for our fans. For you guys, 15% off coupon, little 15% off promo code, and free shipping when you spend over $20, which... you spend $20 all the time on a bunch of stupid stuff. Now it's time to spend it on something amazing. All right. So use this promo code SKG15. 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 Over there on that website, over on blackoutx.com, and go pick up yourself something nice. Go get yourself a little nice thing. You deserve it. Go get yourself a treat, okay? It's blackoutx.com, blackoutx.com, blackoutx.com. Well, how did you end up at Letterman? Like, did you move to New York?
It was I was bartending at Legal Seafoods in Park Plaza, and they hired a new hostess from New York who happened to be dating the graphics guy for David Letterman. I mean, just a complete crazy coincidence. And I knew this because she walked in that day with a Letterman jacket on. And I just ran, I was bartending, just ran over to the bar, and I just said, "Can I have that jacket?" She said, "No, that's my jacket." I go, "Okay. Could you get me an internship on Letterman?" She goes, "Yeah, I was just broke up with the graphics guy of David Letterman. He still loves me. Sure, I'll call him up." What's your name? Hi, I'm
Wow.
Spike. or Michael at that point.
That's a
Yeah.
power move. To
And
try
boom.
and get the jacket first and then get the interview.
That's all I really wanted. I wasn't
Sure.
quite as serious. I didn't know how to get from Boston to New York, but once she got me that internship in 30 Rock, and I was
How quickly did you buy that jacket once you were there?
no, you know what? I
get
got it after I finished my internship at Letterman. I did a
Awesome.
couple of internships. One was in the graphics department at 30 Rock, and it was just finding pictures for both shows. And then went back to Boston for a little while and came back, did an internship for Letterman. And somewhere in there, Lori Diamond, Dave's assistant, brought out that jacket and said, "This is for you."
Now, is
It's
that
an
a
incredible
that's
moment.
insane.
is that a Letterman jacket?
No, yeah, it's the yellow one. Remember the yellow,
Like
the
the
first
yellow
one with the yellow sleeves, the
yeah.
varsity
so
jacket.
there's like a varsity Letterman's jacket.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was
That's cool.
the one I had been seeing on television.
Yeah.
And to me still, television was just this thing you watched. Like you'd never dream that you would meet any of these people or even go to the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was such a faraway thought, yet, there was I was a little obsessed with like, I just think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And once I, was there working around these people, I saw this comedy writer job and I saw their paychecks and I saw that, geez, what do you do? And he goes, I just watched a lot of TV. And I went, geez, so me too. That's
Yeah.
all I did. And, I started writing jokes and it worked,
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever do
Bizarre.
stand-up?
No. During the late night show, I did. After that show, I did a little bit, but no, I just started, really just started grinding on Weekend Update jokes for Dennis Miller. And that's
Wow.
where
Yeah.
I first learned how to write jokes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Who was in the cast when you worked on SNL?
It's a great crew. It's Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon and Jan Hooks and
Well, those were like the very best years.
Ben.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
well, when you were there, you weren't thinking that. You were like Belushi and Bill Murray, and
Yeah.
that's what everybody was
God.
talking about and thinking there. But then you had Phil Hartman, Conan O'Brien was a new writer,
That late
Smigel,
crew was
Ben
awesome.
Stiller was new
Yeah.
as a
Wow.
featured player. Never really connected there, but everybody was somebody or turned out to be somebody pretty much.
Did Farley come in when you guys were still
He was
there?
he was later on.
Yeah.
So after that, I went to write for David Letterman. I would, I really had kind of nothing to do, so I'd go back and hang out and do like little under fives on Saturday Night Live on the weekend.
What does that mean, under fives?
Just little extra parts.
Right.
I just didn't want. I just thought I'll
Yeah.
just show up, and if you guys can put me in sketches. So I was in a couple sketches with lines. Like I did a sketch with Spade, where we were playing two twin. I can't remember the name of the guys. That they were the two singers with long blonde hair. I can't
Nelson?
remember. Nelson Brothers.
Yeah.
I was Nelson Brothers. Very
yeah.
good. And I was just such a fan of both of these shows. I would do
Sure.
anything for anybody.
Oh, God.
I would even just go and fucking get cheeseburgers for people just to watch the show work, because it was always just great to be backstage watching SNL happen.
That's so awesome. Kevin Nealon's out here in LA and
Yeah.
performs
Yeah.
constantly. At
He's
the
at
the No, I
Laugh
know.
Factory all
Factory.
the time.
Yeah.
Still just as funny
God, so
as
funny.
he always was.
How was everybody? Phil Hartman must have been an unbelievable person to work
Yeah,
with.
he was obviously a huge talent. I wasn't as close to him,
Who were you
but I
close
hung
to?
out with him. Mostly the production staff and the other PAs, but I hung out with Jan Hooks a lot, and it was always like party related.
Yeah.
You'd just be at the rap party. Hey, let's go to Jan Hooks' house. All right, sure. This is great. Jan
yeah.
Hooks' house. Hey, Phil Hartman's here. Hi, Phil. But it was such a sweet, group of people, and they were always hilarious. Lovitz was there too. I'm sure you've seen that
Oh,
guy
yeah.
around.
yeah.
We know he-
Hello, Spike.
He had a club here in LA.
You will forever be known as the intern to me.
When did a Dana Carvey show come around? Was that after?
That was after, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I had done a
Yeah.
season of Seinfeld, and I had caught the show, and it blew me away. And I remember at the end, Seinfeld was ending right about April, and we had a month off to relax. And I called my agents and said, "Hey, can you get me on that show?" They go,
God.
"What do you mean?" They go, "It's not doing well." I go, "It's the funniest show I've ever seen, and Louis C.K. is my friend is on it, and I would just, I'd love to do anything on it."
Yeah.
So weirdly, I got a call back from my agent. It doesn't happen a lot. They go,
Sure.
"We got you the job on that show.
Oh
you can
my
show
God.
up." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's incredible." And I'm wondering why. He goes, "Well, Seinfeld." And I'm like, "What about it?" It still didn't. I was a program consultant on this show. I was the new guy.
Yeah.
I wrote 2 episodes. It didn't matter. So Steve O'Donnell and I were, partnered on Space Ghost and other stuff. He was the former head writer of Letterman. So I said, "Hey, come with me and we'll go as a writing team and we'll just have some fun instead of taking a vacation. Let's go write for this show." And when I remember when we showed up, I saw Smigel and these guys, said hi. I was like, this is going to be great. And there was this ABC executive there, and she, took us aside, and she said, oh, I'm so happy you guys are here. And we're like, oh, great. She goes, yeah. He goes, they really need someone to come in here and take over the show and make it work.
Ooh.
And I said, wow, well.
No pressure.
I'm not here to do that. I love everything they're doing. I think there's been a miscommunication. Like, whatever Smigel and Louie say, I'm going to do. And she turned white.
Oh, no.
And, obviously some shenanigans had gone on, as far as getting me that job. Like, these guys are going to come in to fix it, maybe. But that was never said to me, and nor I'm sure to anybody else. That we were just like, we hope you pick our stuff.
Yeah.
That was our attitude. We hope you pick our stuff.
So, I don't want to jump back I don't want to jump back too far, but Letterman, when you were working on Letterman, was that, at what point in your career did everybody in your life start kind of clamoring and kind of going like, oh my God, you're working on the show, you're on the show. When did everyone around you kind of start getting excited?
What do you mean?
Just family and friends and people like that. At what point did people start kind of reaching out and kind of saying like, oh my God, you're on this
I don't know if that ever happened with that show. I don't know. I think it was all pretty exciting to my family just being in New York,
Right.
just being the intern guy. I could call up and go, hey, you're not going to believe this. I saw Herb Sargent, who runs the writing for Weekend Update. No way. It was always very exciting that we were part of it. But, I don't remember anybody other than, my brother Wally and, my mom and dad just being excited for me.
Did people call?
Oh, I guess there are moments like when, we did a Mother's Day story, staff Mother's Day stories with Letterman, and everybody came. He told the story and it had some funny ending. And my mom, a story with my mom got picked. And I remember saying to Dave, my dad is not going to put up for this. If I put my mom in the show, I need to put him in. And Dave's like, yeah, sure. We'll have one dad there. He can just be, putting sour cream on his face with a butter knife. And I'm like, great, he'll do that. It'll be totally fine. So those moments, like when, we were in Patsy's and I'm sitting at a table with my parents and Dave, those were pretty amazing and stressful moments for many different reasons.
That sounds nerve-wracking and wonderful.
Well, yeah, because I know my father's going to misbehave any fucking second, and which he does.
Of course.
He does. So we're telling the stories. I don't remember what the story is with my mom, but it's all going well. It's just, 8 staffers and cameras and Dave, your boss, who can fire you every 9 weeks. So,
Oh, my God.
And then there's my dad sitting there, and, Dave sets up the joke. We get all these moms, and we have one dad over there, Mr. Feresten. They cut to him smoking a cigarette. So already there's one funny cutaway of him, right?
Great.
And then, 30 minutes into the shoot, Dave goes, I can see him whisper something to Hal, and Hal goes over to my dad and he goes, Dave would like you to shave sour cream off your face with a butter knife. And I see my father getting angry, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And, Hal walks away to Dave, and my father comes up and he goes, are they making fun of me? Why the fuck are, he starts getting mad. What, they're making fun of the way I look? Is that why he wants me to shave sour cream off my face with a butter knife? Now he's mic'd up, and Dave and Hal have headphones on, and they're looking over, and I'm like, this is my fault that I let the lion into the hen house, right, or whatever the analogy is there. Yeah. And now Dave comes over. Geez, I'm very sorry. He's apologizing to my father. I mean, it's just exactly what I feared. So. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Good
know.
times.
I brought my mom to a Kids' Choice Award event because I was working for Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And Seema, the president of Nickelodeon, this woman was standing there, and I go, Mom, I want you to meet the president of Nickelodeon. This is Seema. Seema, this is my mom. And my mom goes, Seaman? And she goes, no, Seema. And my mom goes, Seaman. And she goes, Seema. And my mom goes, that's your name? She goes, uh-huh. And my mom goes, you can change it. And I was like, oh,
dear.
God. Oh, why is this happening? Why are you doing this, Mom? Why would you do this? It was so great.
This is a whole show.
Yeah.
We could do a whole show with parents showing up to their kids' works and hang out with their bosses.
Ruining everything.
And ruining everything.
Oh,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
That would be really great.
That would
because
be
most of our
terrific.
parents aren't very trustworthy and they don't know how to behave.
No, they
Especially
really
the older parents that didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
They're
To
awful.
the Writers Guild. Register it at once.
Quickly,
Yeah, you
off
can
we
have it.
go.
Before this airs.
What? Let's. Can we talk a little bit about?
Oh wait, I have a question.
oh, yeah, no.
Where's the jacket now?
The jacket is in storage. I have
In
it.
storage.
I have it. I never knew what really. It was an extra large first and foremost,
Oh,
right? So
okay.
I can't
Yeah,
quite
you're
wear
not
it.
an
And then
extra large wearing guy. Yeah.
I have 5 of these jackets, which I love. I just don't know what to do with them now. You know, if
Are
I
they
was a
all
different
extra large?
guy, I would put them in my bumper pool room downstairs in the basement, like frame them under glass. But I don't want to look at that shit. You know,
Are they all
so-
too big to wear?
I just don't know what to do with show jackets in general. Like, when is the appropriate place to wear that and where?
Hollywood, anytime you want.
No. See, you could wear it ironically if I gave it to you, and you could
I
say,
totally
this
would.
isn't mine.
The problem is if he wears it out to the bar or something, someone's going to come up and ask him for an interview on some
No.
job.
Yeah.
Did you watch Silicon Valley with the Pied Piper jacket?
Oh,
there
yeah,
you go.
of
That's
course.
a perfect analogy
I
for the
know.
varsity
they
jacket
come
right
and
there.
bother you with that stuff all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, it's weird.
Can we talk about Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yeah,
because
sure.
it's hands down one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
I like it
have
too.
every single
Yeah.
episode in my phone right now. I'm not joking. Whenever I fly, I just watch Space Ghost on the plane. That's like
It's a
just
great
it's
show to watch on a plane, right?
Oh, it's
Because
so
nobody
good.
else on the plane would get that show and would laugh at it, right? Especially
Yeah.
businessmen. It's anti-businessman
Yeah.
comedy.
It really is. It's real weird. A friend of ours, John Schnepp, was an editor on the show
Mhm.
in the editing room for a little while, and you know, it was one of the reasons why I wanted to be friends with him in the first place.
Right.
And now he knows.
And now he knows.
Mhm.
How did you end up involved in that show?
All right, that's my brother Wally, who was asked to do an episode first. And I didn't even know about the show, but he called me one day and he said this Cartoon Network, was it? It wasn't even Adult Swim yet. It's got this great show. I wrote one. You got to watch it. And it was that weird kind of comedy that I just loved to write. I didn't have to explain logic. It just had to be logic that I understood.
Yeah.
Right? And non sequiturs and everything else. And at the time, Letterman was doing less and less of that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they were doing jokes like, viewer mail letter. What would life be like without the Constitution?
Yeah.
Paul, I wonder what life would be like. And then you see Dave and Paul tied to a stake, and a rat in a purple satin gown is whipping them by walking around and just making funny poses. And then Gliss is back. Like, that to me is like, I love jokes like that.
Yeah.
Because there's no reasonable explanation
Absolutely.
to get to that moment. But it's a
Absolutely.
very satisfying image, and it makes me laugh. So Space Ghost is all that, right? It's,
Yeah.
mostly just real, insanity and stuff that made no sense. So I asked my brother, I hope you don't mind, but can I talk to the executive? I want to write a couple of these in my spare time. I'll do it for free. If you want, call them up and tell them. And that's how I got to it.
Oh my
Now,
god.
that's a show where they did the interviews first, and then you went back and wrote the questions? Or
So
how did that work?
here's what would happen.
Yeah.
We're gonna they'll assign you an episode,
Mhm.
and I'm just now thinking back. They would send you a list of guests
Mhm.
that you could put in the episode, just names.
Oh my
Just
God,
go,
amazing.
Here they go. Take as many or as few as you want, but these 2 or 3, and the voice of Space Ghost would interview them on the tape. So you'd have on the tape. Janine Garofalo was in one of our episodes.
Sure.
Her getting interviewed by the voice of Space Ghost,
Mhm.
and him asking mostly normal questions. What's
Right.
your new show? How old are you? What kind of pants are those? And just go on and on and on.
Were they
and
doing
then
that just part of a junket, like sort of the junket circuit?
I
people
don't know
jumping on
that part.
or-
I don't know that part
Okay.
because they were down in Atlanta, right? So I
I
don't know
don't
if they
know.
went to New York or what they were doing, but
Okay.
Oh,
it seemed
yeah.
like a lot of hip people were coming down to be interviewed
Okay, so
by
maybe
Space
people were
Ghost.
like, I want to be on that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was in Atlanta, right?
And some of it was, I think some of it was satellite too. So the voice
Yeah.
was, they were being interviewed from Atlanta, but on a satellite feed because really you only need
Yeah.
one side of it. And then you could take the responses and write whatever questions you wanted.
Okay.
And, I think we generally pitched, a little theme of what the episode would be about. And by the end of it, it was never
Yeah,
about
it's-
what you were
Right.
talking about. It would just go off on tangents and flow.
Oh god,
Really
it was
fun.
Such a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, really brilliant stuff. I know Schnepp told us that I guess he had gone on to do some editing right in the beginning, like first season,
Mhm.
second season, first season, and they were trying to cut episodes, and the guy who was editing and cutting the episodes was doing something like it would take like 5-6 days to cut an episode,
Right.
And then when John started editing, he cut 3 episodes in one day.
Right.
And they were like, what the fuck is this? And they moved that editor, the other editor, they moved him over to do something else. And then he just edited for like the first year, and then I guess he gave it over to
Does he smoke pot?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
That's got to be what it is, because there's a whole cadence to the pot smoking and the comedy in that show.
It's real weird, and also using stuff, which I think is so genius, is those quiet moments where they're just
and
not...
just the sound effects of the console. Just the looks. And
there's lots of uncomfortable silence on there, which is hilarious.
And then when he would break the silence, it would be phenomenal.
But don't you think now Tim and Eric have taken over that mantle?
Oh, yeah.
They're the guys who are out there doing, playing with those sounds and those moments and turning them into comedy. It's really hard to do to get a laugh.
Adult Swim has really tried, and they're all still Atlanta guys. Those are all still those same guys. They try really, really hard to capture that same kind of essence, and sometimes that's casting homeless people as in roles, and then casting them opposite like Oscar winners, which they've done repeatedly, which is genius. Like they had Jonah Hill and some total lunatic, guy from the Ding Dong Show from the Comedy Store, and they just pair these guys up and let them go to town, and it's like it's crazy. It's a lot of fun. We had a situation on our show where I tried to do this, it didn't work as well. Where you know what though, for the promos it worked fine. It was better for the it worked better for the promos. We on the nighttime show, the live show, we wanted to have a character that's my elderly aunt who just sits in the audience and roasts me throughout the show and talks about like how horrible, like what are they paying you in nachos? Like just mean old lady. And so we hired a woman I found on Craigslist to play my elderly aunt.
This all sounds great so far.
And it was so like when we taped it, it was fantastic. We tried to do it live with a different lady, and it was hard. It was harder.
She improvised.
She started doing her own jokes.
She wouldn't do.
It sounds, but what makes that work is it not working in front of the audience. You know what I mean? I bet it was
really
great.
Fun. Like if
that
really
audience didn't get it, you probably did it. You pulled it off. The audience sitting there. You know what I mean?
Completely.
We don't want them to have a good time in that situation. We want them to be looking at their watch and like, I'm getting out of here.
Well, then mission
happening.
accomplished, because we did it.
Right?
I'm very proud of our work then.
We opened last month's show by saying that it was like
200 years in the future.
And then Mike,
giant what was it?
Cockroaches were taking over the world. And so Mike comes out on stage as me in the future with a giant beard that's all like real like prosthetic, like nice beard, and he's in a janitor suit and he's sweeping the stage, and he goes, "Oh, I remember." What did you say?
I was like, I remember when this used to be the Improv, and they put on the greatest show of all time. And back then you could validate a car for a mere $8 instead of a sack of skins of your loved ones, and stuff, like all sorts of weird shit like
and
that.
While he's saying this, we have a guy in a giant cockroach costume, and we're talking like massive, giant. We have to ship it here. The guy comes out into the audience and goes, "Human, get off the stage!" And, like yells at him, and the fucking audience was like, "What's happening?" We were so weirded out.
Yeah,
but like that's all of that.
We had a device that was powered by applause.
Good.
To make them
to go
travel
back in time.
Start the show.
I was watching because as you walk in here, you see some of the folks that are coming to the Improv here, and I was like, I'm not sure I'd want to entertain those guys. They don't look like my kind of guys.
That's not a bad opening line.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure I want to entertain you.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky enough that we've been doing our show for about almost a year. We've been doing it live, which is insane. And like the audiences we get keep coming back, and they're like,
they're yours.
They know it's like Adult Swim kind of weird stuff. And
good.
We'll have a table. 2 months ago, we had a table. My desk on stage was full of koosh balls, so I kept throwing koosh balls at people and going, "Rosie O'Donnell," and I would just throw them in between comics. And it was like, people get it. They know it's weird, and that it's going to be, And then we've had DJ Doug Pound, who is the editor of Tim and Eric. Awesome show. Great job.
Great.
We had him as our musical guest, and we had Davey
Force.
Davey Force, who created the opening title sequence to Tim and Eric.
Oh, cool.
We had him on to show The Chickening, which was his
I remember that.
Sundance movie.
The Shining, but with chickens.
Yeah, very weird.
Which I don't know where you come up with that idea.
I don't know.
You know what's funny about Tim and Eric? I have two 2 little boys who are 8 and 6, and I show them Tim and Eric, and they get it right away. And it finally made me understand Tim and Eric.
They were on your talk.
That's cool.
Yeah, I used to bring them on late night
They
show,
were on the
right?
talk show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Nobody else would at the time, but I said, no, these guys are coming on. And they're like, why? I go, because every time I have to fly to New York, I put their shows on my computer, and I am laughing all the way to New York. And, I just know, it was this businessman thing. I just know it just makes it so much funnier knowing nobody else really understands what's
Everybody
great
sitting
about
around
this.
you was like, what is
What is he looking at? Why is that funny? Steve
like,
Brule?
for me-
what?
For me, the show like that is TV Funhouse.
Oh,
Yeah,
God. That
that's
was
a
so
great
And that's the one
show.
where like it was one season and done,
Yeah.
and that was it. And it's like I remember the first when it was on the air, it was like a thing where Comedy Central was like, we paid for it, you might as well show it, I guess. And it was like 12:30 at night on Saturdays. And I actually fell off my couch laughing so hard that they did the Joe Camel Pokemon sketch,
my
which
God.
was a crossover between Joe Camel and Pokemon, and it was Joe-Camel. was what they did. And then you see Joe Camel, and he's like a little camel, and he's hopping around. But then all of a sudden, when he like transforms to fight the other Pokemon type things, his giant nose turns into a giant penis, and then Jane Camel comes out, who turns into a giant vagina. And it's just, I don't know. You're like,
God.
I laughed so hard.
So
I couldn't
weird.
believe how funny it was. Like it's.
I used to love Wonder Shows, and do you remember Wonder Shows?
yeah.
Wonder Chosen was fantastic.
So good. When they
Now,
go-
who made that? I forgot about that show.
We got to look that one up.
That was an amazing show.
They would
that should
go,
never have gone away, right?
Kids
that was
on the street, kids on the beat, beat kids, beat kids. These little kids interviewing
Wonder
people.
Chosen.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna go home and
What's
watch
it
that
like
tonight.
being a racist? People would be like, "What is happening?" That stuff was so great. Oh, they were the best.
Yeah. Who is it? Who aired Wonder
John
Chosen?
Lee and Vernon Chapman.
Oh, Vernon Chapman. There you go. Where was it?
On MTV2.
On MTV2.
man.
Bring that back.
Yeah, dude.
The
seriously.
best.
All right, we got to talk about the show that literally the whole drive here.
Yes.
Me and Matt were driving here together because he
Together?
picks me up because I'm not a good driver.
He's
I'm
Okay.
very,
What does that mean?
I'm very bad. I'm
He's
very
bad at
driver.
driving.
I lived in New York for too long, and then I came out here,
Wait,
and then I started
we're
trying
safer
to drive.
with him
but you
not
don't
driving.
have a driver's
I have
license?
a car and I have a driver's license.
So you just prefer to be driven.
I don't.
I prefer
Uber.
him to be driven.
I'm Ubering.
What's
All right.
happened?
I'm just not good at it. I've
Like,
gotten
what does
a
that
bunch
mean?
of accidents.
13 accidents?
I have
Somewhere in there?
more points on my license than a person
For
should
what?
have.
DUIs?
No.
He doesn't even have that excuse. He's just that
I'm
bad a
just
driver
not
while
good
he's
at
sober.
it. I look at
It does
things.
not
I
stop
go,
anybody in Hollywood here.
I look at
all.
everything when I'm driving, and also I have a girlfriend who loves to drive, and so
Right.
she drives all the time.
Wow.
And then I can just sit there and play on my phone, and
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
a lot
it's-
nicer
we're-
for me.
You prefer to be driven, I think.
I prefer
is-
to be driven.
That's it.
We're
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
off
Driven.
with him not driving.
It's
believe
for the
me.
best. Yeah, he doesn't know anything about cars. Tell about when
Oh.
he told
What
you
did he-
what kind of car
Oh,
he got.
come on. I
Yeah,
don't
tell
want to do that in
tell
front
him
of
that.
car matchmaker.
Go
That's the
ahead,
most embarrassing
please.
thing in the
I-
world.
Embarrass him.
I think it's important that he
Oh,
hears
You
it.
should reenact it.
All
Let's
right,
go.
all right. This is an actual thing that
All right.
actually happened, Spike.
Phone
and
conversation,
You're
we
not.
actually
I
mean,
promise I won't
I
judge.
please hope that you don't dislike me more than maybe you do. I just hope. I hope you like me and then you don't dislike me. All right, this is what happened. It's an actual thing. I got. It was time to go buy a car, and I had an Oldsmobile Alero. You remember those piles of shit cars? So I
It's
got
a funny
rid of.
car for a comedian.
Yes, yes. There was old in the title. There was all
Yeah.
sorts of jokes about it.
Yeah.
right.
A lot of other clowns would pile out of it when you got it.
Sure, exactly. So I gave that car away, and then it was time to go get a new car. And so I went, and the choice was either a Chrysler 300, okay,
Right.
with Lambo doors, which I thought was cool.
Lambo doors.
Yeah, like Lamborghini doors that go up.
And
Like
how
a
did that
ZZ Top
happen?
style.
There's some
slide-up.
stupid guy was selling them and selling the car. So I was like,
he customized the doors?
yeah.
And he put scissor doors on
He
there?
put scissor doors on. I know.
Wow.
I was like, that could be kind of fun.
Can I
And,
guess on the person's race?
Am
Am I correct?
It was a Chinese guy.
It was a
Right.
Chinese guy. It wasn't. That's not what I was going to guess.
It was exactly what it was.
It was a Chinese guy who put scissor doors on a Chrysler 300.
You got a lot of scissor doors.
I would have bought that car in 2 seconds.
Oh,
That's
I know.
insane. What
I
an
wanted
incredibly
that.
expensive modification
It was-
for such not
it was
an
ridiculous.
expensive car.
It was a ridiculous car. So I
Burned a
wanted.
hole through his copy of Tokyo Drift.
You're being
And then, I
completely
gotta do
serious. Nice. Okay, go ahead.
It's a weird
but
car.
so far, fascinating.
It was either that, a Mini Cooper, which
Right.
I tried out because I'd seen the Italian Job, right? And
Right.
I was like, hey, that's kind of a fun car. It
Right.
look ridiculous.
You in a Mini
You're a
Cooper.
maxi.
It's bad.
You don't want to be a maxi in a Mini.
That's
Yeah, no,
basically
right. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
that's right.
essentially your Iron Man suit. when
Right.
you
Yeah,
put it-
you
You
turn a
can't do
Mini
that.
Cooper into a one-seater.
Yeah. No, I mean,
They are
Yeah.
very spacious.
You could
and
do that.
actually in the top 10 cars for tall people. So
Oh,
Really?
you know,
interesting.
little known facts about Mini,
Did
but
not
yeah.
know that.
Mhm.
The other one was a black Camaro, all right, with black leather interior.
right.
All right. And I was like, that's
Too much of a dude mobile.
But I liked that car. I liked
Okay.
it. And I felt
So
like.
where is the embarrassment?
Well,
Where's
I
the
felt
trouble
like
here?
Vin Diesel when I was in the car.
Right.
So I was like, so I was like, I'm going to get this car. So I get that car. That's what I
Right.
get.
Okay.
And I'm driving home from the dealership, and I'm calling fucking everybody. I call 5 people in a row. Hey, guess what? I just bought a brand new car. Oh, yeah, what kind? Camaro. Suck a dick. Click. Right. Next call. Hey, guess what? I just bought a Camaro. I'll race you for pinks. Click. Call one after another. Call like 4 people. I call Matt, and I go, hey, Matt, guess what?
Hey, what?
I just bought a new car.
Oh, really? What kind of car did you get?
I got a Camaro. Yeah, because I'm awesome.
Oh, that's cool. I used to have a Camaro. Did you get an RS, an IROC? Which kind of Camaro?
I got the good one.
Well,
Good kind. The cool
the
guy
Z28?
car.
Well, what kind of Camaro is it? Like, what's the package?
Well, I'm driving right now, and I'm not totally sure.
you
hang
don't
on.
remember?
No. Well, it's just the new Camaro. It's this year's Camaro.
But which brand? Like, how big's the engine? Any of that stuff?
Let me check. Hang on. Okay, I'm looking in the glove compartment. It's the pony package. I got the pony package.
The pony package. I don't think that Camaro comes with a pony package.
It's no. It's a pony. It says right here Mustang pony package Camaro. It says
did you
they
get
said
a-
it was Camaro.
Did you get a Ford Mustang?
No, I got a Mustang Camaro.
No, that's not a thing. It's either a Mustang or a Camaro.
I have some calls I have to make. I'll call you back.
You didn't know
That's
what you
literally
bought.
how
Did
it
not
went
know
down.
what I bought.
No.
Yeah.
I bought a Mustang, a Ford Mustang.
And
It's a
thought
nice
it was a
car.
And
Camaro.
I thought it was a Camaro.
Yes.
Literally,
They are in the same class, so you're not so far off.
for a half hour. I
Right.
thought I bought a different car.
Yes.
After paying all the
Charger,
money
Camaro,
to buy.
Mustang, they are
Yeah.
kind of the same.
was
They're
in the
close.
fucking thing
Yeah.
telling people.
I
Because
was
I remember
literally.
in
I'm
that
It's
not-
the oldest trio of cars, actually, that competed against each
Yep.
other. So it's an
Really?
honest mistake.
All right.
But is there not
Thank you for
For
that.
a reason.
Is
But
there
it is
not a-
completely fucked up. You didn't know what you bought.
My girlfriend's from Detroit.
it's a
She
little-
almost didn't speak to me after I told her that
Well,
story.
I always remember he told me on the phone. He's like, "Well, it's got a horse on it." When he was
Yeah.
telling me this
There's
girl, I was
a
like,
horse.
I was
Right.
gonna say,
Horse, I'm like,
is that
is
that
good?
This isn't also a little known model either. This is
Yeah, it's-
pretty much the most famous car in the world.
right. Yeah, huge
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
there's
Well,
a-
and you like it, and there you go.
I love it. I still have it. I drive it all. Well, I don't
Okay,
drive
there
it
you
all the
go.
time. I sit in it. all
So
the
you're
time.
happy.
I
You've done
like
it.
it.
You
Yeah.
don't need me.
I do. Yeah,
I help people who need help. You don't need help. You just need glasses.
I just need glasses.
he does need help,
you can
but not
read.
that kind of help.
emotional help.
No.
We need to talk about Seinfeld.
Talk about Seinfeld. Okay. I know
Is that
you
okay?
mentioned Spike.
Seinfeld?
Seinfeld.
We haven't talked about
We
that
haven't
yet
ta- we haven't
after
even-
all
we
this time.
We
All
haven't
right,
even
let's go.
touched it. All right,
I know-
let's
We'll
I
go
know
back to
you
cars
said-
later.
I know you said the first Seinfeld question you always get is a soup Nazi. I'm not going to ask that first.
No.
That's not a question,
Well,
but yes.
I am going to
All right,
ask
you
first.
ask first. Sure.
You wrote The Little Kicks
Yes.
with Elaine's horrible dancing.
Yes.
And I have to know, how did you come up with the idea of Elaine being such a bad dancer? Like, was Julia a bad dancer? And you saw her,
No.
or-
In fact, when I taught her the dance,
Oh my
one
God.
of the other writers sidled up to me and said, oh, you are going to ruin this girl's career by making her do that on TV. You really are.
it was brilliant. That's one of my favorite things. Of the
We
whole
didn't
show.
know at the time, but it was based on an old boss. He doesn't like me to say who it is, so I don't ever say who it is. But you probably would all know who it is. But it was someone I worked for at one point, and he was very intimidating. And then I saw him dancing at a party, and then he wasn't very intimidating anymore. And that was the story.
Oh,
was
wow.
that when you see someone dance and they don't know how to dance, if they're your boss, it's hard to respect them anymore and to listen to them.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from. But the dance is the same dance that my former boss did. Yeah.
That's amazing. Somebody actually did that in real life. That blows me
Yes, yes. Someday I'll auction off the name, like You're So Vain,
I love it.
who it was really
away.
written
Take that,
about.
Carly Simon. Yeah.
It'd be weird if they were the same person.
Yeah.
Like Carly
It
Simon.
is. All right, there it is. It is the same person.
It's Carly
It is
Simon.
Carly Simon.
Oh, Carly
She's the
Simon.
one.
She's a bad dancer.
Mhm.
Now, that show had a writer's room that worked differently than almost any other sitcom, didn't it?
Yeah, a couple different ways actually.
Because we know Fred Stoller, who
Yeah.
worked on earlier seasons. I don't think he worked at the same
Nope.
time as you, but good guy we know. And I've read his book about writing on Seinfeld. He wrote a book called My Seinfeld Year, and I devoured it. It was fantastic. And he talked about how you would go to Larry and say, hey, here's my idea for each of the 4 characters. Here's how they're going to mesh up. And then once you got sort of your 4 ideas approved, he'd be like, I like that for Elaine. I don't like that for Jerry. Write something else. And then he'd approve it. And he'd be like, okay, now go write the episode. You come back, and then he would just sort of rewrite it. And that's...
Is that how it worked?
I
Is that how it
remember
worked for you or no?
Well, there are 2 different ways. I come in on season 7, so it's Larry and Jerry, and then 8 and 9 is just Jerry.
Yeah.
So it was a little differently. But at least season 7, you'd come in at the beginning of the season with a yellow pad full of ideas and tell some stories. You know, had this boss who danced funny, and after he danced, I couldn't really respect him. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I go, all right, you know, what do you know, who's it for? And I go, I don't know, it could be for Elaine or whatever. But it was mostly just Larry and Jerry said at the beginning of that season, and I hadn't written half hours before, really. We want you to come in and tell stories. We don't want you to make up stories. So you write down 20 things that happened to you and something that you did or something you wanted to say but didn't say, or, you know, some little, you know, thing that happened at a party that struck you as odd. Like, you know, I was at a party with a friend of mine, and he kept giving everybody at the party duties, and we were all had jobs at the party, and no one was at the party. Everybody had a job. And that was weird, and that was Putty. Remember Putty with the man fur? That was actually happened with an old friend of mine. So I loved it because shit happens to me all the time. Shit is still going on all the time.
Sure.
And I was able to come in and vent about a lot of it, from the Soup Nazi to Little Kicks to girlfriends to, this writer's room joke about my girlfriend's ass would wake up in the middle of the night and start talking and say, hello, everyone. And, but my girlfriend would be asleep, and it was just learning how to talk. So it would go, la, 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 I'm going to keep you awake, Spike. And it would, that was a writer's room joke until I told my girlfriend, hey, we're making fun of your ass in the writer's room. And she broke up with me, and then it became a story. Right, it became a story. So, it's like Fred said, but it was always kind of different. And then,
when you pitched those ideas, were you doing that sort of just to Jerry and Larry, or was that to the whole
That was just to Jerry and Larry.
Yeah.
So,
it was very solitary then.
So you'd go back. So I'm going back to that first pitch where I was pretty much terrified. I did okay with that first set of pitches. But I was nervous when it ended because I could tell I didn't really sell the first episode. So I started. They started asking me about New York, and I started talking about the Soup Nazi, and they started laughing really hard. And I started going, "Yeah, here's more about the Soup Nazi." And they went, "That's your first episode." And I left like totally, and closed the door and went, "What just happened?" Like I was not pitching. I was just telling a story. The writers were like, "Great job, we heard them laughing," and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just told a story about this soup guy, and they said it's your first episode. Get to work on it. Like, I don't know what that means. So,
oh my God.
It was a pretty mysterious process. And you would go, and then I guess I had other stories approved. One was the Schmoopy story, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember Larry came to me a day later after I pitched that and said, "Look, I want you to do that." That public displays of affection story, because I didn't want to say it in the room, but Jerry and Shoshana are doing that a lot, and it's really been bugging me with the oh baby and the schmoopy and all that stuff. So he goes, put that in as your Jerry story. And, you would figure it out on a dry erase board up until the act break, and when you thought you had it right to pitch, you'd call them in the room and pitch it to them, and they'd add stuff or subtract stuff, and then you'd be off to script. And write it, turn it in, do another draft with notes, and then hand it over to Larry and Jerry, and they would turn it into the masterpiece.
What was your office like? Did you have your own little office?
Yeah. I think I shared an office with Matt Selman for part of that year. Do you know Matt Selman, the Simpsons producer?
Sure.
And then maybe Steve O'Donnell for the other part of it, but I don't recall. But it was really fun, really small, great group of guys. Tom Gamble, Max Pross, and Peter Melman, and everybody. We all hung out, and we were there 7 days a week, and it was fun.
What studio were you guys at? Which
CBS Radford.
Oh, you were at
I was just there today. I was just there
God.
pitching something today, and we were looking at the building. What really blew me away was coming out of the Ed Sullivan building, working for Letterman, was how tiny this Seinfeld operation was.
Yeah.
I flew out to L.A., I'm going to move here, and wow, if Ed Sullivan is this big for Letterman, can you imagine what Seinfeld, it's going to be 50 stories, and, typewriters everywhere, and it was this tiny little bungalow. They used to, I think Burt Reynolds was there before Seinfeld, and then this just group of writers, Larry and Jerry, and a couple assistants, and everybody's just down to earth and nice and going, all right, we'll tell you how to do this and we'll do some. And
like, what's your relationship like with these guys, with Larry or with Seinfeld?
Well, there are two types of guys. There's Larry guys and Jerry guys. I'm a Jerry guy.
Yeah,
I am, and I think it's the car thing that kind of tied it in. But we all still talk. We obviously all went through something, and we're all still fans of each other. And Larry's doing Curb again, and Berg's up on Silicon Valley now, and Schaefer had his show there on FX, and we talk periodically.
It's
fun. Carol Leifer's around. I hang out with her.
You worked on B-Movie too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did B-Movie with Robin and Jerry and Barry Martyr. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
How were you involved in that film?
Jerry just asked me to write it with him.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of the greatest and shortest pitch sessions. This will make you writers very upset. He was having dinner with Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg said, "How'd you like to do an animated movie?" And Jerry's like, "Sure." He goes, what it should be about? And he goes, I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do about it? And Jerry said, I don't know. How about bees? I've always been kind of fascinated that we steal their honey. What if the bees were upset with that? And he goes, all right, yeah, sure, let's make it.
Oh my God!
And B-Movie was sold.
Oh my God!
Before the appetizers were dropped onto the table.
Look, when you get two billionaires at dinner together, you can make stuff like that happen.
That story made me so upset when he called me about it. God damn it, Jerry! The number of outlines and rewriting before it even gets pitched.
Oh yeah, Lord.
What's fascinating about B-Movie though is it took on a life of its own last year. With some girl put the entire script on a B-movie on a shirt. I can't tell if it was ironic or that she loved it when she was a little girl, and it went viral. And it was like the biggest animated movie last year as far as like social media. Like, people were just texting each other the entire script of B-Movie. Still, I don't know if they're making fun of it or they really enjoyed it, but it exploded.
Well,
it was just on Huffington Post. They were just talking to John Goodman about it. Did you know your movie was the biggest movie of 2015?
I think it's funny that Jerry spends way more time working on a one-liner than he did on the pitch for an entire 2-hour movie.
Yeah, well, he went nuts when we actually wrote it. That was 3 years of going back and forth to New York, and he obsesses, obviously, with his comedy and his stand-up and really wants to get every word perfectly. So,
well, what was so great about that movie, too? Well, you can really do that with animation, too, because you can take your time with animation.
Kind of, but time runs out toward the end.
Yeah.
And they're animating it, and there are all these funny things that happen in the beginning. Like, you turn in a draft, and they go, all right, we're going to bring you to a room and show you the storyboard for the first 3 scenes. And each one of the pages is done by a different artist in a different style. And you just react. Like, tell us what you think. Do you like it? So you see a few lines, and the guy's an Italian animation guy. He's going, so Betty, you like the bee, and then he comes down here, and it's like looks like the Jetsons, and the next one is the Flintstones, and the next one is like modern something, and it can quickly make you crazy.
Oh,
and then by like the second year, you're like, God, I fucking hate this movie and this script. and I'm going back and doing more notes, and now I'm watching screenings with half the movie, and now there's another 2 years. It lives with you for a very long time, and it's kind of what spun me back into late night and getting back into the immediacy of that, and reading a newspaper or reading a Huffington Post and writing jokes. That's what I learned from that experience. Was I'm not cut out for this 3-year wait.
No, I don't blame him.
Steven's in a movie. He's been working on that.
Hey, congratulations! Which one?
I'm in Storks with Andy Samberg and Kelsey Grammer and Jennifer Aniston.
Can you make a lot of money doing that?
I'm gonna make something.
Yeah,
doing it. I'll
new
tell
car.
You that. Oh, you better believe it.
A new car money?
What kind of car?
It'll be some sort of SUV, some sort of larger car.
Wow.
I can't be in.
What now? What
say
is that covered under the Guild now?
Oh yeah.
I did not make a lot of money from B-Movie. I'm guessing Seinfeld made all of it.
Oh, I didn't write
MO.
it. I'm just one of the voi's. I'm
right.
one of the main voices in it.
And well, yeah, all right, you're going to clean up then, right?
He's the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy in the movie.
How much back end do you get?
I don't get any. I get what's it called? I get a percentage of the merchandising.
Really?
That's big.
I get a piece of the soundtrack because I sing in the movie.
Really?
Yeah,
that's great.
And then I play 3 other smaller characters in the movie. So with SAG, they'll pay me out for overseas residuals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll make most of them.
You're going to be rich.
Well, we'll see. We'll
You're going to
see.
be very, very rich. What dolls are we buying of yours? What is it, a stork?
I play the pigeon in the movie.
The pigeon.
So he's the bat. He
plays
the
a
only
pigeon?
pigeon.
Very
that
disappointing
lives.
sales of the pigeon this year.
It's a
at
pigeon that
Christmas.
looks like
I'm
Donald
sorry.
Trump.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a pigeon that looks like Donald Trump.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
he's a real. He's got a real attitude.
I like
problem.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's really ridiculous character.
Yeah. When
And
you
he's-
have kids, those movies become really fun.
They kept saying, you'll know this term. They kept saying the character was very, what is the word?
Shitty. What?
Polarizing. Polarizing.
Wow.
They said that, and I've heard that from the marketing executives, and then separately in other meetings, I've heard it from producers. I heard it from the director.
That's good, though, right?
Polarizing, where they're like, the kids are obsessed with it. When the character comes on screen, kids
Yeah.
get really jumpy in their seats because
Oh,
they're
that's
excited.
good.
But the parents are like, oh, this character.
Oh,
so
that's
the
good.
voice is driving me
The
crazy.
movie's not for them.
So you're the
Right.
Jar Jar of them.
Yes.
God forbid! What's the matter? You said the Jar Jar. You said Jar Jar on the show. Come on.
Wow.
Oh man,
That is
that's
low.
just so
A
mean.
plus.
It's like the
Low.
meanest
A+
thing
Mike
ever. Well done, Mike Black.
Excellent.
No, you can tell he's going to be successful because last night at the movies, they were like, he was like, I'd like a Coke. And they were like, small, medium, or large. He was, all three. Let her ride.
One of each.
Spending that money already.
All right. I know you have more Seinfeld questions. Do you have any more Seinfeld questions you want to ask?
Well,
before we
I
move
could
on?
get into a bunch of stuff, but I'm
All right,
going to
well,
try to.
give
I
one-
don't want to be
one-
too super nerdy on it.
Throw one
Let's
more.
do it.
Throw
This
one
is your
more nerdy
chance.
one out. Come on, Matt.
Okay. You were involved. Two of the episodes that you are listed as writer on have controversy with them. And
They do.
obviously, you know the Puerto Rican Day Parade one, of course.
Yeah, I contributed nothing to
known.
that, really.
But
Here's what I'll just say about it. It could have been any parade. It
Yeah.
was really the idea.
It didn't
you're,
have to. It was just
you're
a
trapped
parade
by
to do it. Yeah.
parades, and I guess everyone thought that was the funniest one. But every writer on staff is credited with that episode. But I will say, I did raise my hand and go, I don't think we should be burning a Puerto Rican flag. And they, oh, Spike,
Yeah.
you're so sensitive. All right. Okay, guys. We'll
Okay.
see.
Because the other one that I was surprised to see that was controversy, like when you click on the thing on Wikipedia on it, it's like controversy was the section
Really?
on there. And I was like, oh, and it's the bookstore. Because there's a line in there where opium is referred to as the Chinaman's nightcap.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
And I was wondering, did that line originate from Jerry and Larry, or did that originate earlier in the script process? Like, how did
what
they get
year
through?
is that? You know, I can tell you who's at fault. I can guarantee you that's Steve O'Donnell. That sounds like Mr. Steve O'Donnell.
Because that is season 9. Yeah, so Larry wouldn't have been there for that.
No, I know I worked on the episode. Did I? I don't think I wrote the episode.
It's
but
one that you're listed as being the writer on, but who knows?
I think
how
I
to do it.
co-wrote it, right. But Chinaman's Nightcap, I can guarantee. I have a really good memory for remembering people's lines. That's Steve O'Donnell. And I'm pretty sure he was on the show that 8th season. We brought him in, and you can hear. I can even hear him saying it, "The Chinaman's Nightcap." But that is
Because they cut that line from the reruns, apparently.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's really a slang term for heroin. It's,
Yeah.
it's an historical one. So
Yeah.
I don't know what people are upset about.
Okay, you did the Muffin Tops,
Yes.
which also featured, if I remember correctly, that's the episode that featured the real world Seinfeld tour, like your sort of knock up on him,
right.
which the real Kramer was doing.
Yes.
And he was doing like the Jerry reality tour or
Yes.
whatever it was, right? So like obviously you pull that from what was going on in real life, but I mean, did they sort of come to you and be like, "Hey, we should do something on this," or how did you figure out
No.
to do that as a plot line?
I was just having fun with the idea of art reflects life, reflects art, or
Yeah.
life reflects art, reflects life. I was really playing with that formula. And I guess it would start with the real Kramer, and then the Seinfeld Kramer, and then the real Kramer does the bus tour. And then I thought, all right, it's our move.
Good.
Let's get the real Kramer doing a bus tour.
So great.
Yeah, that's kind of the thinking I used to do that, and it was purely passive aggressive towards the real Kramer.
Yeah, totally.
Just like this will be really fun.
Because he was like being a pain in the ass. He was suing
yeah,
the show.
but
and
we were
whatever.
talking about how shitty this tour must be
Yeah,
for people.
right,
They
yes.
hand out a little Snickers
Little
bar.
Snickers bar and
You're
everything,
stuck in a bus in traffic, looking at these places where we really didn't shoot.
Yeah, 'cause he's
and
driving
it's
in a
all B-roll.
dog-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's B-roll.
So funny.
And so that's what we were like. All right, well let's make it shitty and have some fun with it.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the one where
right.
Jerry turns into a werewolf at the end. 'Cause
Yeah,
he's
that one I'm not
shaved his
sure
chest
about.
and all
Yeah,
that.
I feel bad about that story. But there's some other good moments in there. Also, we brought back the Jiffy Park guy, the Jiffy Dump guys in that one.
Yeah.
But I had a girlfriend in New York who only ate the tops of muffins. She was bulimic. So she had a list of good and bad foods, and Muffin Tops was on it. And she said, "I'm going to start a muffin top shop one day." And that made everybody laugh when we were talking about it. The muffin top shop. And then let's do that with Elaine.
I remember that the large woman who ran the homeless
Rebecca
was
De
Rebecca
Mornay. Yes.
Like, obviously, that's a reference of the Seinfeld.
God, I remember the moment he said it in the room.
Yeah.
It made us
Because
laugh
it's hilarious.
So hard. He goes, "My name is Rebecca De Mornay." And we started rolling. We went, "What?"
That's hilarious.
And then that woman walked in, and we cast her. And I mean, it was just...
It was perfect.
There was a lot of it where just having fun. The writer's room vibe was suddenly going on to the show.
Yeah, and then you did...
This is just to entertain us.
Yeah, because also you did the one with the Technicolor Dreamcoat episode
right.
where Jerry was always like, "How come I can't be your boyfriend? Like, why do you just assume it's not me?"
Yeah, that's true. Well, 2 stories. The girl I was living with in New York invited the wigmaster from Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat to come live with
like
us.
a real thing. Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
She goes, "I hope you don't mind, but I've invited my friend." Already I'm in hell with what's being said. Who's the wigmaster for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor? I go, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
What a radical title that is.
Massive fight. And, the guy ended up being afraid of me and wouldn't come stay. But still, I never really figured out what the real wigmaster was just like, because, I don't know if this is a pattern with women, but at least with my girlfriends, they'll communicate my anger about the situation to their friends. So then now there's no hope that Spike freaked out. But really, what I was saying to her was, a length of time. We have to establish a length of time because that's a 3-month run.
Can't be indefinite.
Absolutely.
And you're inviting a wigmaster who I've never met and don't know what a wigmaster is for a play I don't really care for. Isn't the proper amount of time 6 or 7 days? And that's it. And that became the story. It's like, what's the amount of time? And,
if it was the hairball cleanup guy from Cats, like, fine. He can move in.
He never ended up staying, by the way. I've always felt bad about it. So there's that. And then what was the other thing we were talking about in the episode that you just said?
Well, it's how Jerry, like, people would hit on people in front of him. And he's like, why can't I?
Carol Leifer said, "Will you come to the BMW dealership with me? I need to lease a new car." And I said, "Sure, let's go." And we went there, and the salesman hit on her. And he kept flirting with her. And, it didn't really dawn on me until I got back and went, "Fuck, wait a minute. That guy, how does he know we're not together? What was that?" And she's like, "He just sized you up and looked at you. It's like, that guy's not going to get that girl." I go, "Well, what about me?" Well, it really set me back that happened, and I started getting really angry about it. How do they know we're not together? And that was the basis for that story.
God, that is so fast.
Just a little tiny moment.
You're part of so many integral stories for Seinfeld.
Very I don't have to write my biography.
God,
the last few seasons are very...
A lot of my life is poured into that.
Did you have any stories that made it into other episodes that are not credited as yours? Because I know, like, say, Fred Stoller, he has the one episode that he's credited as writing, but he also had the story about the monkey having to be apologized to by Kramer. Like, he said that was his story, but not an episode that he wrote.
We would pop stories. Everybody pops stories in everybody else's episodes, the one that stands out is The Voice, but, again, that was writer's room joke with Jeff Schaefer and I. I don't even know who wrote the episode, but I was always happy to just see the stuff on. It would just crack me up to see that stuff.
Was that Alexander Wentworth?
God, that was so
one?
And I remember, one of the greatest was Schaefer, and Berg and Schaefer call me into their office one day, and they go, "You got to listen to this girl's answering machine message." Like, totally, let's put it on. And he calls the number, and he goes, "Believe it or not, I'm..." that George one. We're like, fuck, that's hilarious.
That's great.
So every day, that's how we start writing sessions. We play her message. We're waiting for her not to be home, this girl who he kind of knows. And then Schaefer, somebody says, "Let's put it in the show." And we put it in the show. And then the night it airs, we called her. And her message machine picked up, and we just said, "Watch Seinfeld tonight," and just hung the phone up. Didn't say who it was. Didn't say who was just watch the show. And so she must have tuned in that night and seen her answering machine message.
Wow.
And went, "Holy fuck.
God.
What's happening?"
That's unbelievable.
What's happening?
Was the writer's room a different deal after Larry left?
Yeah. There were power struggles. Jerry was in a little over his head, starring in the show and having to manage the talent and the deals and everything else. So, and Larry, obviously was, a big part of that show's voice, and was, Larry and Jerry sat across from each other at a table at a desk, and there was a balance there. It was Jerry and George, and when George took off, it was a lot of Jerry, and it was a different show.
Yeah.
The characters acted in different ways.
Interesting. Wow. Were you around for the finale?
Yeah.
Of the show?
Yeah.
Wow.
I pushed very hard for. Well, I'm in it. I'm on the jury.
That's
about
awesome.
all I had to do with it.
You helped convict him.
I wanted Larry to write it. I just thought, my feeling was, and I know it was an opinion that a few people shared in the room. It's like, this is not something we should be writing. We should have Larry come back and do it with or without Jerry. Let them figure that out.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know that, do you have any favorite characters from the show, either that you created or just that you enjoyed writing for?
Well, our main characters were all great. The little stupid ones were always my favorite, like the Jiffy Park guy. Jerry's coming out this weekend. We'll do that voice half the weekend. We'll do that. Hey, look, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll do him. We like to do the top of the muffins to you is just a really stupid one guy. Elaine, these ideas are in the air. That was, that joke was more about, whether I'm not saying this is true, but I had a feeling at the time that Harvard writers stole ideas in the writers' room from other writers.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'd suggest something, and the next day someone would pitch it. Very common in the writers' room, you guys know.
Sure, yeah.
And, that's where that came from. These ideas, they're in the air. No, it's not in the air.
Right.
It was my idea.
It was in my mouth.
That's kind of me venting about that situation in a writer's room,
so
right?
Funny. I love
I just like the small, stupid stuff, There was in the episode where Kramer's trying to stop his mail. And you remember Jerry eventually becomes a mailman, is whistling down the street delivering the mail. And a guy goes, mail on Sunday. The extra screwed up the line.
Yeah.
So he said it like this. He kind of went, mail's all. And so when I got in the edit room, I was like, fuck, I can't hear what he's saying. So Andy Robin does the worst dub in the history of the show. He goes, mail on Sunday. And you can hear the line, but it's terrible. Like that. I love that moment. When I watched that episode to hear how bad that is. And that really cracks me up.
God, that's so much fun. Working in comedy is such a great thing because you laugh so much and you spend so much time.
Yeah, on the right show.
Fun. Yeah.
It has to be the right show, and it's it's a cliche to say, but it trickles down from the top. If you got a good boss and he's funny, knows what he's doing, and the vibe's nice. Sure, it's a good experience. If not, it's a nightmare.
Have you had bad experiences with stuff like this?
No, I don't stick around for that stuff.
No,
I take off.
Life
is too short, Claus.
Yeah, you worked with Louis C.K. at one point.
Yeah.
You're still friends with him? You hang out?
Yeah.
Or does he ever need anybody to play a younger version of him in a flashback?
I would love to. I don't talk to Louis as much. He's been very, very busy. But back in the day, I remember we were together for 9/11. That was a special time.
Oh, wow.
We were doing I was trying to sell him. CBS asked me, or Castle Rock was on a deal with, said, who's the next Seinfeld? I said, it's Louis C.K.'s next Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He said, who's that? And so we sold a show to CBS, and it didn't go, but, I was 13 years too soon, I think, for that to go.
Well, even like Lucky Louie, do you remember that show?
Yeah, watching him do his thing has been fascinating because I always gave him contrary advice. I would say, if you eliminate your daughter's vagina jokes and focus on the joke about where you get your kids in the car and you walk from the passenger seat side to the driver's side and how that feels like a vacation, like that stuff is $1 billion worth of comedy on CBS. Like if I could just get that out of you. And he goes, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And then he would do an HBO special, and I'd get a call. He's like, hey, can I come over and watch my special with you? And I'm like, yeah, come over. And he'd come and sit down. He'd put it on. And it would be all horrifying jokes. And I would go, oh, Louis. And he goes, this is why I came. I came to watch you put your head in your hands and get upset. And I go, I don't even understand that. I don't even understand why you would. He goes, no, it's so pure and it's so good. Thank you. And then he would just take off, and you wouldn't hear from him again. So,
did you know
special relationship?
Yeah, no, that's a good relationship.
You wrote.
I still don't get it though.
You wrote an episode of Seinfeld, by the way.
Why do you want to fuck with people? But Louis was way ahead of his time. He way ahead. The first time I saw him perform was actually in London. His first week on Letterman was my last week. and we were shooting shows in London, and we flew there and landed, and he goes, I'm going to go do stand-up. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. You could just walk into a comedy club? And he's like, well, yeah, watch. And he walked in there, and he did the dirtiest material of any comedian I'd really seen,
Shit.
you know, next to maybe Richard Pryor, but but totally live. And I just went, oh, my God. And the audience, British audience, were like, this is awful.
But
and
you know,
Jill Davis, one of the writers, was with me, and she went, oh, this guy's going nowhere. And I went, yeah, not with that stuff. But really,
God,
he was
amazing.
just a little, he was ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you know,
He's ahead of everybody
I think like his style and the way that he works and you know, people that are fans of like that dirty stuff that he does.
Right.
You know, it's a different group of people than are the people that are like, oh my God, I love Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job.
Right.
And I love that weird. And there are people that don't think that shit is insane. That like the Tim and Eric stuff is super, super weird and doesn't make any sense. And
it doesn't.
And like and like
it's not supposed to.
And like there are like, you know, there's just different types of comedy and like different people, you know, it's just different types of comedy in different ways that people enjoy it. And what makes different people laugh. Like for me, it's always been Jim Gaffigan.
He's great.
Can do like everything he does makes me fucking laugh. Like his material has always been like my kind of thing. I love Louis and I love Tim and Eric and stuff too. But the guy, like the kind of stuff when I've watched them in person, Maria Bamford and Jim Gaffigan are the two where I just can't deal. Like my brain starts like hurting from laughing too hard.
Yep.
You know.
Well, Seinfeld's act is pretty great.
Oh,
I mean, there was a
God.
week where
Yeah,
I
of
saw
course.
Sarah Silverman, Jay Leno, Louis, Chris Rock, and then I saw Jerry.
Wow.
And these are all great comedians, and they were really long shows, but Jerry had the edge as far as the shape of his act. And I don't say that because we're friends. His act kind of had a beginning, a middle, and an end, where some of these other acts kind of just ended on a joke, like, all right, time's up, I'm going to walk off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked to Jerry about it, and I just, I said, am I making up? And he goes, no, I'm doing that. He's just like on such a different level as far as,
He
his
plans
control.
everything out, it seems.
He does,
Yeah.
obsessively. He writes,
he's
and
so
he
good.
writes, and he changes, and he tweaks.
All right, I have one last Seinfeld question. then
All
I'll be
right.
done,
All
okay?
right.
In one of your episodes, you have somebody return something out of spite at a
Yes.
store. Did
Yes.
you know that was actually cited in an actual legal case?
Wow, no.
Because Tom Clancy and his wife broke up, and when they were married, they had a book imprint they had together. It was Clancy Books, distributed through like Random House or whatever. And then it was just a bunch of books he didn't write, but they were like using Tom Clancy's name to sell a bunch of books. And they split up, and he's like, I'm going to take my name off this because I don't have anything to do with it. I don't want my name on here anymore. And then in the whole legal battle, they actually cited that episode talking about how you cannot just take it, like he had to negotiate in good faith. And they said he was negotiating in spite. And he referenced your episode because of that.
Wow. That's, I have to give Larry and Jerry credit for that one. That was, I remember Larry going, I was short a story, and he goes, just do a Blazer story. And I went, what? He goes, do a Blazer story. It'll be good. Crested Blazer, something. I was in a store. I was trying something on, and then I bought it because I felt guilty. I went, all right, that doesn't sound like a story, Larry. And he goes, no, it'll be a story. It'll be good. And sure enough, he's done like 100 Blazer stories.
Yeah, there were a bunch of Blazer stories on there.
Blazer story. And I'm like, oh, this guy really knows what he's doing.
Because he had the Blazer story with the Friars jacket.
He's still doing Blazer stories. Well, Groucho Marx and pants.
Yeah,
Gross pants jokes.
Okay, I'm done. Sorry,
Still
I'm done.
going.
All right. Wait. We got a couple.
For God's sake.
We got a couple small follow-ups real
All right.
quick. Are you good? You good to hang out?
Yeah.
A couple more minutes. All right. Michael Richards' show.
Yes.
That was your show. You created that show.
I did not create that show.
All right.
I ran that show.
You ran the show.
Michael created the show. I was on a deal with Castle Rock, and I was strong-armed. No, I wanted.
Wow.
I wanted to work on it because I love Michael. I believed in him, and I thought if anybody's going to be able to pull this off, it'll be us. But it was a very tall mountain to climb,
It's a
and we knew
detective
from the
sitcom,
beginning.
right?
Yeah, Michael wanted to do the Vic Nardoza, this detective sitcom. And I had done something a long time ago with Adam West, with a fake detective show, that then Conan and Smigel did a version of too. And I thought, maybe there's something here. But I was pretty much being paid by Castle Rock to work on their shows. So I said, if I'm going to work on anything, I'll work on this.
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
like everybody involved.
I like that you guys put Tim Meadows in the show. And
Tim was in there.
God. You can always You can put Tim Meadows in any show, and it'll make it better. Like,
yeah,
Tim Meadows
William
is
Devane was in it.
Yeah.
It was a very turbulent experience. It was not pleasant for any of us. For Michael, for the network, but we laugh about it whenever we see each other now and go, geez, remember that? What the hell?
What about, can we talk about the talk show and you getting to do this talk show?
Yeah, sure. That was another great, dream-like experience.
Does it, aside from a couple clips on YouTube, is it out there?
Fox scrubbed it. No, they scrubbed the whole thing. They took it all off.
Son of a bitch.
It's such an interesting time in the online comedy space because we're out there killing it with hardly any budget. Like we're the top 3 clips on Hulu. We're beating Tina Fey and Sarah Palin and Family Guy clips. And nobody knows what this show is or who I am. But online, we're killing it. And, we knew that this was the game in late night. That forget about your ratings on Saturday Night against Saturday Night Live. You're not going to do well. But look, hey, they just played our clip on The View. And I just heard it in a Hertz rental bus. We're working. And, hey, David Letterman's calling me going, God, you guys are really doing well. And, we could see it happening. Fox never really understood that. And when the show went off the air, and actually, when the show was even on the air, they would fight with us about releasing content online, whether it was Funny or Die or wherever we would put it. They would say, you can't put that out there. Legal will never clear it. And we were saying, look, you're not promoting us.
That's crazy.
And this clip we just put out just got 2 million hits on YouTube, and it's helping promote our show. And they said, well, we're taking it down. And after the show went off the air, they just took it all down. They just said, Fox property, we're going to keep it. And I remember even checking in with them after and going, hey, why don't we just release DVDs? There were people still watching DVDs back then, and they said, no, we're not going to do any of it. And I said, why can't I put the shows up and let them go? There's, Bryan Cranston was on promoting a show called Breaking Bad. And, they'd called me up and said, no one will book us because they don't like Breaking Bad. And I said, all right, I'll book you. Andy Dick just canceled, so come on. And so, and Olivia Munn was a new piece of talent who I saw also doing well on Hulu. So I said, let's book her. She seems interesting.
She was on Attack of the Show back then.
Yeah, right. But she was consistently up at the top of their dial, too. So, I'm really proud of what we did. The writers were really great. They've all gone on to Colbert and Bill Maher and Conan and lots of great shows, and there you have it.
Did you have fun? Like hosting the show?
Was it like
a
dream come true?
It's gotta be
dream come true situation for me. It's something I'd always wanted to try. I'd never performed really before in front of the camera, and I don't know if you saw the Louis C.K. episode where Louis was going to late night and he had the coach.
Yeah.
I lived that. I had a guy like that. I actually don't know if he based that on me telling him about that guy, but there was a guy in New York who supposedly trained Jay Leno and Jimmy Kimmel, and we've got him for you, Spike, and you're going to do a bunch of practice interviews, and then you're going to fly to New York, and you're going to meet with him. So you'd go and show up in this building in this tiny little office, I mean a really tiny office, with this weird guy, and you'd put in your half-inch tape, and you'd play your interview with Jason Bateman, and he would watch it, and he'd sit in front of you, too. I remember this. He'd sit in front of me watching it, looking at the screen, and then it would end, and then it would be quiet, and then he would turn around and just go, there's a party going on here, but it's not your party. I go, what? No, it's not your party. You got to make this your party. And then the time would be up, and then you'd fly back to L.A. going, all right, got to make this my party, whatever the fuck that means. Every minute of it was spectacular and fun and unreal. And I was just telling someone the other day, I didn't even know the show got picked up until I was walking on the stage to meet the affiliates in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's how they introduced me, Peter Liguri. He said, and here he is, and we're picking up his show. I got picked up walking up a set of stairs to go talk to people on a Tuesday morning.
Oh, my God.
I know. Where I'm trying to get straight the jokes I'm going to tell, and that's what he throws at me. I mean, it was really fun. The whole thing was just, I can die.
Were there? Yeah, please don't.
I can die right now.
Were there jokes that were pitched to you that you just were like, nope, not going to do that one?
No. Here's what I remember about the show. Fox really didn't get late night. I really have no problem saying that. Like they would say, look, we're going to shoot 22 of these things. I'm like, fantastic. On Saturday night. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. They're not going to be day and date. In other words, we'll shoot them in September, and they'll probably air sometime in April or May. And I'd be like, well, what am I talking about? And like, well, we do the show Mad TV, and it's broadly topical. So you kind of have to go and go, well, the Oscars will be in February, so you do a bunch of Oscar jokes. Yeah, but I don't know the movies.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll figure it out. So, that was the conversation from the beginning. Like, we were shooting from September to November. We had to produce all of these shows that ran the year. And, occasionally you do, hey, Ed Bradley joke. And then I'd be sitting at home in March and go, oh, fuck, Ed Bradley died. And that show airs next week. Let me pick up the phone and call nobody because there's no staff anywhere to edit this. And now I'm doing jokes about a guy who just died. So,
oh my God.
We had that happen on our podcast. We pre-taped on 3 different episodes. We had things where people were talking about Prince.
Yeah.
And we had this guy who was an Oscar winner from the 3-6 Mafia, and he had some story where like Prince was a jerk. And he was like, you know what? Fuck Prince. And then like it aired like a week after he died, and we're like, what? I can't believe
no,
it.
it's no good.
Yeah.
I know.
I loved running the show because I knew how to run a show, and it was really fun to pick all the material, and I hired all the writers, and I'm good at that. I knew it from working at Letterman what I liked, and when I read writer submissions, I went, oh, that guy right there, what a fantastic joke. I'm never going to read that from anybody else. It's coming off The Onion. We brought him in from Canada. His name was Barry Julian, and I think now he's running Colbert. But that ended up being, that was the best part of the show, is being in the writer's room, picking the stuff, and then going out and having it written for you. I prefer that to stand up. I always say, like, I'm kind of a TV comedian. Like, I want to be reading the jokes that I worked on. I want to tell them once and hear the audience laugh, and then move on to the next stuff.
Sure. No,
right.
I get.
You know what I mean?
That. Like, I mean, on our show, we have like there's 5 guys. You guys all kind of write the show, and then I'll come up with a joke now and then, for something. But it took like 6-7 months of me doing the show to finally. I mean, because we do the show once a month. So, I mean, it took, 6 or 7 shows for me to figure out, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do this.
Right, right.
And like not like oversell the punchline, or not even that, or just sometimes like, I would take too much time with stuff, or or introduce. I'm like, I'm now gonna do a monologue. Like I thought that was really funny to do that for a while, and now I'm just like, let's get into the news. You guys want to hear about the news? You guys want to hear about the? And then everyone will go news, and then I'll be like, here's the first thing. Boom, boom, boom. Joke. Get through like 5-6 jokes, and then we always end our monologue with something horrible happening to me. Usually, like we've done it where I've said, man, this if Donald Trump ends up becoming the president, this country is going to become the Andy Dick of the planet.
Right.
We're just going to stop being invited to parties. Like no one's going to want us to be anywhere. And then with that, Andy Dick stands up into the audience and he's like, "How dare you son of a bitch!" and like storms the stage, and then he breaks a piece of the set, and then takes a bow, and we both bow, and then then we start the show. And it was fun because like with like I grew up watching Conan a lot. Like I loved watching Conan, especially old weird Conan, where it's like he'd take the desk for a drive through Central Park and stuff like that, and trying to find your own voice with things like that. And
that stuff's the best.
And letting people write for you, like letting people write great jokes, and then learning how to tell them.
And
great.
starting tangents.
Right.
And just taking off.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Let's
just
write
like
a lot about the desk.
Right. Exactly. It's too much.
Right.
Well, the best was like we were given gifts sometimes, like you breaking your foot.
Oh yeah.
And then I got to reenact him breaking his foot with action figures.
He fell off a stage.
For the next episode.
Really?
I broke my foot at the top of the show during the monologue in front of 200 people.
Oh my God.
And then I crawled back to the desk. And then I sat there and watched my foot just expand while we did the show for 2 hours.
It's like Guns N' Roses this year in their tour.
Yeah. It was a whole
Put
thing.
the cast on.
Yeah, and everybody was
work.
like, that was the cool thing is it like, what am I going to do? Get off the stage and end the show? It's like, you have to stick in it. You got to stay. And then you get that credit where everybody's like, you stuck in, bro! Just like
Everybody's
Axl!
forgotten already.
You're like, oh, yeah.
No one remembers that.
Yeah, we used to.
No.
You're
You
tougher
do.
than Marilyn
Yeah, just
Manson.
me.
I went to a concert. Marilyn Manson broke his ankle after 3 songs, and he was like, "That's it, I'm out." I was
Really?
like, put on an Aircast. You're doing songs about snorting coke with the devil or something. Like, you got to be tougher than that.
Yeah,
I mean,
come on.
go do some,
Summon Satan.
take some
for
drugs
a few
backstage.
minutes.
You're Marilyn Manson. Come on. Yeah.
All right, so before we wrap this thing up, we talked a little bit before the show about when you are putting together an idea, you pitch something to somebody,
right.
and you go, hey, I've got this show or whatever.
Right.
They send you a contract, some sort of thing for you to sign.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was what did you call it? What's that thing called?
Well, first, let me set this up.
Yes, please.
I started a production company a year ago, so I'm making a lot of deals with talent. I've done this from all sides, but this production company has really given me a look at how business affairs works and studios work and network presidents and the conspiring that goes on between me, Spike, producer with my company, and the network and business affairs, which is now at this time pretty much overwhelmed. Right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
So they keep consolidating and getting smaller. So now you've got one or two lawyers, let's say, taking care of all of Fox. It's insane. God. And part of that becomes, you were saying someone had offered you a show.
Right.
And the initial terms were shocking and insulting.
Sure.
And, oh, my God, and let's not even... Right? And,
yeah,
and here's what I have to tell you. So
sure.
And, this even with respect to Car Matchmaker, there's one release, and that release covers shows like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to Car Matchmaker, a respectable, funny and car show, to, Louis the Crazy Barber, people that fight the family, whatever it is.
Right.
Part of what's going on now is consolidating paperwork. In other words, there's one deal they just send out.
Sure.
To everybody, no matter who you are, including me.
That's really interesting.
So, yes, you look at it and you get a little angry and you talk tough to your agents and your lawyers, but they should be telling you that, look, just relax. This is the kind of the form offer. Like, unless you're Louis C.K., they're going to take a little special time with that. You just have to go back to them with what it should be.
Well, I think at the time I just kind of had a lazy manager, which happens in this town. Sometimes you end up with somebody.
He just sounds inexperienced, maybe.
Well, sometimes they just go, we'll find somebody else. You'll do something else.
When I was negotiating Car Matchmaker,
yeah.
I got the first part of that deal said we would like 10% of any sort of work you get based on Car Matchmaker, like if you endorse a car or you do this or that, because we feel we're going to make your name a notable name. We're going to make you famous. Nobody else knows who you are, right? That's essentially what they were saying. Right?
Yeah.
They're forgetting that there's like 20 years of my name's on TV all the time, and I've been on TV. It just came off a Fox show, right?
Right.
So you look at that. Yeah, you go, well, what the fuck is this? You get upset for a second, but then my lawyer is like, oh, this, it's a housewife thing. That's just their universal first offer. We'll educate them.
Sure.
And remind them. They go, and then what usually happens right after that is the business affairs person goes, oh, yeah, that's not for you. We'll X that out. You mark up the contract and you just go to work.
Oh,
But have you ever been in a negotiation that doesn't upset you? Ever?
Well,
one that I've not.
To be honest, I haven't. I haven't taken out a lot of projects. Me and Mike have a show that we have over at Jim Henson Company, and we've been there for like 2 years. Like a scripted show, and we had to negotiate a little bit on it, and there was some issues and stuff. I think when we first started,
right.
But aside from that, there hasn't been any other real shows that we've worked really hard on and tried to take out to the world. So I think,
but even doing your animated thing, all of the terms for all of it, it's a bumpy ride every single time. It's a bumpy. When I'm negotiating on behalf of my production company, it's bumpy for me on that side.
Sure.
And when I'm being asked to do something, it's bumpy. It's never not bumpy.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
It even came up with B-Movie. It came up, I was like, fuck, I got fucked on that deal.
Shit, really? Yeah, no. It makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, look, on all the acting stuff that I've done, I've had a lawyer and a manager and an agent working everything, and they kind of keep me out of it. And they go, we're going to get you the best deal we can get you. And I just listen, and then I go, thank you, and then I go and I
That's
do
good.
my
That's a
stupid
good
thing.
attitude to have.
Yeah, because
by the way, that's what I did with B-Movie. I was just like, I don't care. I'm helping Jerry out. Whatever. Let's just do it. It's going to be fun.
I'm just always happy to do shit. I'm just happy to have a good time. And then I'm lucky enough with this show, with Nighttime Show, that we get to I get to hang out with my friends and make fun, weird shit on stage in front of.
Just remember, you're the guys who make the content. They
Right.
can't do it without you.
Yeah.
No matter
You're
what
totally
they say,
right. You're totally
they
right.
cannot.
All right, before we wrap up, Car Matchmaker.
Yes.
Such an incredibly cool show. How
Thank
did
you.
this come about?
It was just I was helping friends find cars. Someone said Ellen Rakuten from Ellen Rakuten Entertainment,
She's awesome.
who I helped,
Yep.
said, "How'd you like to do it as a TV show?" And she said we could call it "You're Like a Car Matchmaker." And I go, "That's a really stupid title, but I'll tell you, I can sell it because it's a 2-word, self-explanatory thing. And as long as the network lets me shoot it like a Letterman remote, where I can just say whatever comes to mind and be funny, then I'll totally do it because it's 2 worlds I like, comedy and cars." So we pitched them a really simple format. Buyer comes in, I get to know him, I show him 3 cars, we drive them, have fun in them, and they pick one. And then it's up to me just to add in the comedy. And it's never really scripted. It's just it's kind of the stuff I did on my late night show, Man in the Street. It's just reacting in funny ways and saying hopefully what the audience is thinking,
That's
or
so great.
making them laugh. And here we are in our 3rd season, and it's Esquire Network's cool. They let me create the show, gave me a lot of creative freedom, and let me help them, educate them about cars. And we're 3rd season.
Amazing.
Seinfeld's on this year. Keanu Reeves is on this year.
Oh my
C.J.
God.
Wilson, the guys from the Lakers, and mostly normal folks. And whenever famous folks are on, I'm usually introducing the normal folks to the famous folks.
Sure.
So we had a young lady who was getting her first motorcycle, and I said, "I'll introduce you to Keanu Reeves. This guy's crashed a bunch. He's got his own.
my God.
He's got his own motorcycle company. He's making motorcycles right now, and let's go talk to him." So it's a great scene with her meeting Keanu and hearing about his crashes, which I didn't know about, like flying over a car and landing on his teeth, and and advice on how not to let that happen to her. And then we saw the bikes and drove them. It's really fun. Dream job.
That's
Dream
awesome.
job. Yeah,
I
that's
love
good.
it. Good for you, man. That's so cool. What time does it air?
It's
normally?
Wednesdays, 8 Central, 6 PST.
Yeah.
6 here,
6.
I'm learning. Yes, I screw that up every season. But, it's also on iTunes. It's on Amazon and Google Play. So
Esquire
you can get
Network.
it pretty much everywhere.
Such a cool place. Those
It's
guys are
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Big drinking, lots of cigars, lots of really tiny suits, and, manicured facial hair. And
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
I'm not
very-
that guy,
They're
but
very cool over
you know,
there.
They're cool.
They're really cool, and they're really into comedy. Like,
Yeah.
I went over there with Ellen Rakuten.
Right.
And we ended up in this great conversation with their guys where they just were like, "You do stand up? Tell us about stand
Yeah,
up.
they
I just
love
want to
it.
hit.
They
oh,
love
they
it a lot. They love
Everything.
to
They wanted
drink,
to know
and they love
everything.
to hear jokes. But
I love it.
yeah,
That's so
and they're
cool.
looking to do comedy now. So
I love
it's a good
that.
time.
Hey, so tell everybody where else they can find you in the world.
Find me on my social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All at Spike Feresten. Easy.
There you go.
That's where everything that I'm doing is channeled right now.
I love it. That's the fact.
The car pictures are all on Instagram. The show information is all on Twitter, and the family fun and stupidity is on Facebook.
Oh, I love
You
it.
can follow me there.
I love it. You should also check out on YouTube. If you go to, I think on Esquire's YouTube, they have you talking about like specific cars. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
are, like,
we
your
did that
favorite
too.
cars.
Yeah, and then you can go to the Esquire page, and they've got a lot of content that they're throwing up as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. You should subscribe.
The car
and,
stuff
check
tends
it
to
out.
go viral. We just had a video go viral the other day with C.J. Wilson. Just in one day, logged like 600,000 views of his
Good
P1.
Lord.
And just like it takes off out of nowhere. Just it depends on the car,
I
the
love
right
it.
car, the right guy. It just
Are you
shoots around
usually
the world.
surprised at the ones that take off versus like, do you ever have one where you're like, this is going to go viral for sure, and then it
No,
gets watched
I never.
3,000
I
times, or-
never with anything, even comedy. I don't know. I can't predict it. You never know. You want to just get out there and hit balls, and then hopefully one goes over the fence. But we had one from last season that was an 1,100 horsepower minivan. That
Whoa!
Now you go, well, of course it went viral.
Yeah.
2 million hits.
I'm
later,
like, I
but-
want to see that. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I'm about
great.
to go
But
look it
then
up. Yeah.
at the time I went, no, this is just cool. Let's just drive it and do some burnouts with the front wheels.
Awesome.
And talk about it and be funny. And that one took off too. So
That's so great.
it's cool.
Great. Hey, Mike, where can they find you in the world?
At Mike Black Attack on all social media.
Are you going to be at Comic-Con, Mike Black?
No. Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Are you looking forward to any specific toys at Comic-Con?
Yeah.
What He-Man toys?
They're not really doing any this year. They just gave up on He-Man. It's sad.
I'm sorry.
Sad for me. I'll be fine. I'm going to go through a small grieving process, and then I'll be all right.
He could use a hug, Spike. He probably could.
No, there's a Transformer. There's a Bumblebee that's exclusive to Comic-Con that I'm very excited about, and I share that enthusiasm with 4 people in Japan. And, boy, me and Wang and Eddie are super, super stoked about it, and that's about it.
Is there a shrine?
Yeah.
There is? Is it your apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like half hoarder, half museum.
It's just like the car thing, I'll tell you. It's
Yeah.
the same bug.
I'll tell you, Mike.
How
get
many
rid
cars
of-
do you have? How many
I
cars
don't know,
do you
7 or 8. So,
Amazing.
but it doesn't. I mean, as far as just like looking at stuff and wanting it, it's
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
as
No, I know.
Mike, if you-
some my wife with her shoes, him with his dolls. Like it's
Yeah.
an obsession.
Oh, yeah.
There's that
So I
thing
get
where,
it. I get it.
yeah, you're just like, nope,
But
I
He-Man,
need
is that what I should be looking up tonight?
Yep.
I want
Yeah,
one.
Go on my Instagram. It's
I'm in.
It's amazing. What
So,
about you?
Mike, clean up the hoarding a little bit. You could date Glickman's mom.
Hey, there you go.
Yay. There you
Date
go.
my mom. That'll work
You
out.
could totally do that. That would be awesome.
Oh, God bless
I'm
my
in
mom.
favor of that. I would love to see that happen.
Oh,
the
Matt.
weirdest matchmaking ever.
Why is this happening to my poor mom? All right, tell me, Matt, where can they find you?
You can find me at funnymatt.com. All my links are there. Or if you were annoyed by all the things I had to say today, let me know at mattwalkersucks.com.
Which is a great website where you can
Really?
go and
I put all my hate mail on there.
Yeah, you can read all the hate mail of all the people that hate
So you
Matt
started
Walker.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
I
started
it
I don't
himself.
care. I don't sense if somebody wants to send something in. If they don't like me, like the only times I don't put stuff up is if it's not mean enough. Like if something's boring, like oh you suck.
Oh,
like
you're
who
really trolling now for some mean comments.
Oh,
You've
Jesus.
got some mean stuff on
Yeah.
there. What's your favorite mean one that's on there?
cares? There was one where somebody called me a Horton Here's a Who looking motherfucker, which was one of my all-time favorites.
That's pretty
There
good.
was a Chris
Wow.
Brown. I made some joke about Chris Brown on Twitter, and
That's
then one of his
pretty good.
fans were
Yep.
like, "Fuck you, you Horton Here's a Who looking motherfucker." And I
Wow.
was like, "Oh, that's a good one."
Spectacular.
That is
Yeah, I'm
well
like,
done.
that's-
own it.
that's
Own it.
good.
You got to.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
love it.
That's
You know, you
fantastic.
can always get me at Stephen Glickman, STEPHEN Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast. Leave comments, rate the show, tweet it, post it, send it to your friends. And yeah, that's
And you know what? When me and Glickman's mom date, we can
Oh.
have Spike back
Totally.
to find the car that we make out
Yes.
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that would be so
Hello.
great. Spike, I hope you would be here for that.
El Camino. in
There
the
we go.
back.
That's what I'm talking about. Under the stars, because she's classy. For her, just for her. Thank you so much, Spike. It's really incredible to be able to
Amazing.
sit down with you. And
Thanks, guys.
You know,
No, thanks for having me.
great
It's a
stuff
lot
to
of
talk
fun.
About. Yep, can't wait. And we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, Nighttime Show listeners.